Hello everybody. Today I'd like to introduce you to the big G. G. The big G is our way of representing units of capacity. That means, think about like when you pour milk into a glass. You have a capacity for that glass. If you pour too much milk in it, it spills over the top, right? That's a measurement of capacity. So we've learned about a measurement of distance. This is our measurement of capacity. So in our big G, and I've kind of zoomed this camera out, but I need to zoom out even more because this G is too big for me. There it is. There's my big G. This represents a gallon. When you go to the grocery store and buy a gallon of milk, it's usually in that big jug. It's kind of heavy. That's our biggest unit of capacity. For liquids is a gallon. When you go to the gas station, you don't buy an ounce of gas, you buy a gallon of gas. The gallon is the biggest, right? So we've got our big G. Now, this is a visual way of looking at capacity that'll hopefully help you remember these things forever, right? So we've got our big gallon, but inside of every gallon, we actually have 4 quarts. So I'm going to represent those quarts by putting 4 Q's inside of our big G. Now, some people like to think of this like there's 4 queens in the quart, because these Q's represent quarts. If you go to the store and buy 4 quarts of milk, it's the same as buying 1 gallon, because these 4 quarts are inside of your big G. Now, as you might suspect, there's a measurement smaller than a quart, and that is a pint. In fact, inside of every quart here, I'm going to draw 2 pints, because in every quart, there are 2 pints. So I'm going to put my 2 P's here. Notice I'm drawing these out with kind of big open spaces inside of the P, because you guessed it, there's another measurement inside of a pint. So again, I encourage you to draw this out for yourself on your own paper. If you see a question on a test or a state assessment about units of capacity, you could draw your very own big G and then be able to answer those questions a little bit easier. Another way to remember this, again, 4 queens in a quart, maybe that helps you remember 4 quarts in a gallon. Inside of every Q, we've got a PP. And of course, I'm talking about 2 pints. The pint here and a pint here. Maybe that'll help you remember that as well. Inside of every pint, we have 2 cups. So I'm going to put my 2 cups represented by my C's. And you can see I like what I did there. You can see as I'm drawing these out that we can also count up the number of cups in the whole gallon, right? There's 2 cups in a pint. There's 4 cups in a quart. And then we have 16 cups in a full gallon. So again, this is kind of a visual way to look at all this information. Now there is one more measurement that's even smaller than a cup, but I always have a hard time drawing it in here, because for whatever reason, there are 8 ounces inside of a cup. I could try to make 8 O's, and maybe you want to do that, but I'm just going to write it off to the side and say there's 8 ounces in 1 cup. Now, a lot of times you'll see that as 8 fluid ounces. I'm going to say 8 ounces. 8 ounces in a cup, 8 fluid ounces in a cup. We could try to put 8 zeros or 8 O's in here, but I think it's probably easiest just to write that off to the side. Now, again, we can use the big G for all of our conversions when we're talking about capacity. I could figure out how many ounces there are in an entire gallon, because I know there's 8 ounces here, and 8 more here, and 8 here, and 8 here, and 8 here, and 8 here. Every one of these cups has 8 ounces. Ultimately, I can just take 8 times 16 to figure out there's 128 ounces in a gallon. I could figure out how many cups there are in a quart. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 cups inside that quart. This, again, is a visual way to help you remember all of your units of capacity. So when you're thinking about capacity, think about the big G. Be able to recreate this on your own, because this is a very nice, handy visual way to make your conversions with capacity.